Before starting this video, I have a few questions for you. Do you want to learn about databases, database management system, or any such topics that you can see here? Or do you want to gain some skills in SQL from basics to an intermediate level? If your answer to any of such questions is yes, then you are at the right place. So in this series, we'll be covering about databases, DBMS, which we will cover in this part of the video. In the next part, we will see how we can install a DBMS in our system so we can practice SQL queries. Immediately we will start practicing the SQL queries by creating a database and creating some tables. We will also practice the CRUD operations, which are abbreviated for create, read, update and delete commands that we have in SQL. Further, we'll dive deep into the SQL queries which are required to retrieve the data from databases as per our requirements. And as you will see, as we dive deeper and deeper, the commands will become more complex because of the requirements that we have. On the end note, we'll also have some exercise questions for you in between so that you can also learn along with me while practicing those SQL queries. Let us begin with a quick check. In the world of SQL, there are two pronunciations that are widely used. One being SQL and the second being SQL. Now you must understand that both of them represent the same thing, which is the structured query language. And I want you to be aware of this fact from now on. Moving on, in order to learn SQL, we must first answer these two questions. That is, what are databases and what is a database management system? Let us start answering those questions in order to give you a broader picture of why do people use SQL at the first place. What is a database? Now, according to the definition, a database is a structured collection of data that is organized in a way to efficiently store, retrieve, and manage information. Now, this highlighted data is important to focus upon. Let us say you have a bunch of data about your friends. Now, in order to get some value out of the data, you need to store that data in a particular structure. Now, because of this structure in your so-called database, you can easily store any data of your new friend that you have. Or if you want to edit any information about your old friends, you can retrieve that data and edit the information simply because of that structure. Now, there are two approaches in how you can structure the data in your database. One, the relational databases, and the second is non-relational databases. Let us see at relational databases first. In relational database, you'll store your data in a particular format of tables with a predefined set of columns as shown here. Now, you know that you don't have the information about your friend Chris, to which country he belongs. Then you have to fill a null value in that particular field. But because of this predefined structure, it makes it easy for us to retrieve and edit information for the data that is stored in this particular databases. Additionally, they are called relational because you can store your data in multiple tables which are linked to each other through a common and unique column that they have. So for instance, in this case, we have the column ID, which is unique to both the tables, and they are linked to each other through primary key and foreign key technique that we will see in the later part of this video. The language that you will use in order to manipulate the information in relational databases is structured query language or SQL that we are going to learn in this tutorial. But in order to understand that better, we need to see what are non-relational databases. In non-relational databases, the data is not stored in the traditional table format, but instead it uses a different and slightly non-intuitive approach to data storage. It offers higher flexibility and scalability and hence is designed to handle large volumes of unstructured or rapidly changing data. For example, here in this key value method, all the information about your friends is stored in the value which is linked to the key parameter, which works as an indexing parameter for your information. So let's say if I want to know about your friend named Chris, I'll use the key Chris in order to get all the information that you have about Chris. Also notice, since we don't have the information about the country to which Chris belongs, we don't need to input that information in this particular database. Now, this was one of the many methods that is used in non-relational databases. Apart from it, you can use graph databases, document-oriented databases, white column methods, or multi-model databases in order to store your dataset. In order to manage the data in non-relational databases, we use NoSQL, which is also sometimes referred to as not only SQL. Now we have pretty much answered what are databases, and we also know that we can use SQL to retrieve, manage, and store the data in relational databases. But there must be some framework or something that facilitates the queries from SQL to the relational databases. And there comes DBMS, which brings us to our next question: what is a DBMS or a database management system? But before that, let us consider an analogy. Think of a hypothetical situation where there is a librarian and her task is to efficiently keep all the books in the library. She also maintains a catalog which contains all the information of the books along with the location where she has kept them. Now, as a visitor, I went to the library in order to search a particular book. Now for that, I need the catalog in order to query the information about the book along with the location where it is kept. Now the catalog acts as the SQL which helps me to query the books in the library, which act as the data in a database. In this whole scenario, the librarian is the database management system, which facilitates the whole process. Now I hope you got some basic intuition behind it, so let us get back to our theory part. According to the definition, a database management system is a software that facilitates the creation, maintenance, and manipulation of databases through SQL. And these systems can be used for both relational and non-relational databases. But since our focus is for relational databases, we will work on RDBMS, which is nothing but Relational Database Management System. And there are many RDBMS systems available in the market. For example, MySQL, SQLite, PostgreSQL, or Oracle database. In our tutorial, we will be using MySQL mainly because of two reasons. First, it is an open source DBMS. Second, it is one of the most popular DBMS out there, which is again managed by Oracle itself. And that's the end of the first part, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Do consider subscribing my channel if you never want to stop learning. Thank you for watching.